Most rugby fans know the name Josh Lord, but how many truly understand just how fast this giant has risen through the ranks in New Zealand rugby? Standing over 2 metres tall and weighing around 113 kilograms, Lord isn't just another lot trying to survive Super Rugby Pacific. He's become one of the most interesting young forwards in the country, and he's already worn the black jersey at test level. And the real question now is simple. Is Josh Lord actually the next big All Blacks lock, or is he just another talented player who will get stuck in the rotation? He was born in Auckland on 17th of January 2001, but he was raised in Whanganui, a small rural settlement in New Zealand. That's not exactly the kind of place you grow up expecting to become an All Black, but sometimes the players who come from the quietest places end up being the most dangerous, because they're used to working without attention, without hype, and without shortcuts. He went through Hamilton Boys High School, one of the most respected rugby schools in the country. That alone tells you he was around high standards early. Hamilton Boys have produced elite players and runs a serious rugby program. And if you survive in that environment, you're not just talented, you're tough enough to compete. Lord's height made him a standout instantly, but it wasn't just that. Coaches don't keep picking you because you're tall. They pick you because you win collisions, you win lineouts, you do the dirty work, and you keep showing up when games get brutal. By 2019, he had already taken a huge step into senior rugby, making his provincial debut for Taranaki in New Zealand's NPC. He was only 18. That's the kind of debut that tells you everything about how highly valued he was. Provincial rugby isn't a development playground. It's where men fight for contracts, careers, and reputations. And Lord didn't look out of place. He didn't look like a kid trying to hang on. He looked like a lock who belonged in the engine room, willing to take hits and do the grind. That's where the rise seriously started. Because when a young lock is already holding his own in the NPC, Super Rugby teams start paying attention fast. Locks aren't just tall bodies. They're the backbone of the set piece. They're line-out jumpers, maul defenders, breakdown cleaners, and the guys who take the ugly carries when everyone else is tired. If you're good at that at 18, you're going to get opportunities. The Chiefs were the franchise that backed him early. In 2020, Lord was named in their wider training group, and by 2021, he was part of the main squad. Then came the moment that really tested him. His Super Rugby debut against the Crusaders. That's not a gentle introduction. That's like being thrown into the deepest water and being told to swim. The Crusaders are the benchmark, especially for forwards. If you're soft, they'll expose you. If your timing is off, they'll punish you. If you're not physical enough, you disappear. But Lord stepped into that environment and looked like he belonged. From there, he started building real Super Rugby experience. And what's important here is that his game wasn't just built around flashy moments. He's not a lock who needs to score tries to be noticed. His value and his parts of the game that don't always show up in highlight reels. Winning lineouts, putting in big defensive shifts, and doing the tight work that gives your team momentum. Over time, he became a regular contributor for the Chiefs, stacking up matches and proving he could handle the pace of Super Rugby Pacific. Then came the moment that changed everything. In October 2021, Josh Lord got called up into the All Blacks squad as injury cover. That was massive because it happened early in his career. He wasn't a veteran, he wasn't even established yet, but he was seen as good enough to train in the All Blacks environment, and that's not something New Zealand Rugby hands out for free. A call up like that is basically the selectors saying, we're watching you and we think you can handle it. Not long after, he made his test debut for the All Blacks in 2021, coming off the bench against the USA. That's a milestone very few players ever reach, and if he did it at only 20 years old, imagine that jump. One season into Super Rugby and suddenly you're playing international rugby. Different pressure, different speed, different expectations. You don't get to hide at test level, every mistake is punished, every weakness is targeted, and every moment matters. But here's where the story gets even more intense, because just when it looked like everything was lining up perfectly, he hit a major setback. In 2022, Lord suffered a serious knee injury, an ACL injury, that sidelined him for close to a year. And for a forward, especially a lock, that's brutal. Locks rely on power, stability, and confidence in their body. They're jumping, landing, scrummaging, pushing, pulling, twisting. Every movement matters. A knee injury like that doesn't just take you off the field, it challenges your future. This is where a lot of careers quietly fade out, because while you're injured, rugby doesn't stop you. Your teammates keep playing, new players break through, coaches move on, and when you finally return, you don't get the sympathy points. You have to earn your place all over again. But Josh Lord didn't disappear. He worked his way back. and when he returned in 2023, he came back into the Chiefs environment that still demanded results. And that in turn mattered, because it showed something really important about him as a player. He didn't just rely on talent, he relied on resilience. He got back on the field and continued building his role for the Chiefs pack. That's not easy. Super Rugby Pacific is fast and physical, and the second row is one of the most competitive positions in New Zealand rugby. Every week, you're up against elite athletes who are fighting for the same thing: contracts, starting spots, and All Black selection. As Lord got more games under his belt, his strengths became clearer. His height makes him a valuable lineout option. At 2.03 metres tall, he's built for that part of the game. And in modern rugby, lineouts aren't just restarts, they're weapons. If you win your lineout ball cleanly, you can launch attacks. If you disrupt opposition throws, you steal momentum. And Lord's ability to compete in that space is a big reason he stays valuable. But it's not just lineouts. He's also a player who does the hard stuff. Tackling, clearing rucks, taking contact, and staying involved when the game turns into a grind. That's where locks earn respect, because anyone can look good when the team is winning comfortably. But the real test is when you're under pressure, defending your line, absorbing waves of attack, and still having enough energy to hit the next ruck. Lord's game is built for that. What also stands out is his experience at international level. By this point, he's earned multiple test caps for the All Blacks. He's been in and around the national setup for over several seasons now, which shows the selectors see him as part of the bigger picture. He's not just one-time call-up. He's a player who's been trusted to step in when needed, and that matters in a squad environment like the All Blacks where depth is everything. And even though he hasn't scored points for the Chiefs or the All Blacks, that doesn't tell the full story. Locks aren't judged by tries, they're judged by impact. Did you win your line-out ball? Did you dominate collisions? Did you make your tackles? Did you add physical presence? And did you help your team control territory and momentum? Those are the questions that define a lock's performance, and Josh Lord has built his career on answering them. Now, every player has areas they can improve on, and Lord is no different. At test level, the margin for error is tiny. The best locks in the world aren't just big, they're consistent, disciplined, and influential in every part of the game. For Lord, the next step is turning his All Blacks exposure into more of a permanent role. It's one thing to be in the squad, it's another thing to become a locked-in starter, someone the coaches pick first when the biggest matches arrive. And that's why fans are starting to pay attention, because every season he seems to grow into the role more. He's already shown he can handle Super Rugby, he's already shown he can handle Test Rugby, and the biggest challenge now is staying healthy, staying consistent, and continuing to develop into the type of lock that New Zealand can build the future around him. Ever wanted to create your own Rugby Highlights channel just like this one? With my course, the YouTube Creator Toolkit, I show you exactly how I do it, from the tools I use to the templates I built. You get everything. Just copy, paste, and start creating. Learn how to grow your channel, keep viewers hooked, and turn views into income. Click the link in the description below to learn more and start your channel today. Now back to the video. If you enjoyed this breakdown on Josh Lord's rise with the Chiefs and the All Blacks, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more rugby stories, more rugby player breakdowns, and high energy highlight contents just like this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace!